We all know that old adage, less is more. Well, not in South Africa, it's not. Here, more is more. There are 19 more political parties vying for your vote than there were in 2014. So what's behind the rise of new political parties? Which parties are serious contenders and which are just by the by? In 2014, the new kids on the ballot were the EFF, Ahang South Africa, as well as the National Freedom Party. The fighters were the surprise package, winning 25 seats in the National Assembly. The National Freedom Party won an impressive 6 seats, while Ahang got away with 2. So, in 2019, which novices will make the big splash and shake up South Africa's political status quo? Welcome to Political Capital. We are talking about the new kids on the election block. Coming up on the show, I have 2 party presidents with me, the president of the African Transformation Movement, as well as the president of the African Content Movement joining us in studio. And later on in the show, we'll also get to hear from ANC elders as they warn about a few tsotsis in the party. But you tell me, how is a vote for the African National Congress a vote for service delivery and a vote against corruption? That's all coming up later in the show. But first, there are 36 days left before you and I must have a say and let politicians know what we think. But is it time to perhaps shop around? My next 2 guests will both be hoping that that is the case. Joining me for this discussion is the president of the African Transformation Movement, Vuyolwethu Zungula, as well as the president of the African Content Movement, Mr. Hlaudi Motsoeneng. Gentlemen, I thank you for both of your time. And a lot has been said about your ground support. It's been said that your ground support is mostly in KZN. But that's not what you showed last week. Last week you won a by-election in the Eastern Cape. So are you a party on the up and up? And why do people feel so close to, well, 30% close as far as that by-election is concerned to the African Transformation Movement?
Our stronghold is all over the country. That is why we are contesting national and all 9 provinces. The reason why we have a lot of people supporting us as a party, it is because of our values, because we are saying before we are anything, we are humans. So we have got that humanistic approach to politics because we want to improve the lives of people. So when you speak about the values of peace, of Ubuntu, transformation, servant leadership, and accountability, many people find it hard not to follow us. And because we are a people-centered and a people-driven organization, people find reason to trust us because everywhere you go with many political parties, the main question is, why should we trust you? Because people have lost faith and trust in all politicians. But with the ATM, because it is not even led by politician, because I don't regard myself as a politician. I regard myself as a person who loves South Africa. And all members of the ATM are basically people who want to put South Africa first.
Mr. Motsoeneng, I have to come to you and ask you that very question. But for you, it's a little bit different because the other day I was perusing through the papers and it says that ATM has managed to rope in people like Maralo. When you hear that
ATM or ACM?
ACM.
Hey, you like ATM.
ACM rather.
You
but
like
when you hear
ATM
that people like the ATM has roped in someone like Jimmy Manyi, and I think about Maralo, talented, seasoned actress and singer, but it doesn't say anything about her government experience, if you will. Are you not worried about something like that, considering you don't have government experience either?
You see, you don't do your research.
Okay.
I know government more than anyone in South Africa.
Explain.
I did also work for government. If you follow my track record. When I was dismissed at the SABC, I went and worked for government. And I also changed the way government has been operating when I was in government. But, you know, this is not a political party. ACM is not a political party.
What is it?
It is a movement. We are not calling ourselves politicians. We are calling ourselves servants of the people.
Okay.
Yes, we are not a political party.
You share that message as well with the ATM. They call themselves servants too.
They came after me. They came after me. Remember, they are more church people. So remember, I'm the first who, you see, everybody in South Africa, they are following me, including him.
Because
including
we registered on the 20th of June last year.
No. Let me explain why. They have been supporting me on all decisions that I have been taking. So they admire me.
Is that true?
This is the first time I'm hearing about it.
No, he knows deep down. And he knows that people of South Africa, they are going to vote for Hlaudi. There is no question about that.
Why are people of South Africa going to vote for Hlaudi? Just, I mean, your track record is questionable at best. You still find people who still say that the SABC is in this trouble that it is in today because of your track record.
Are you talking about your opinion or other people's opinion, or are you talking about the facts? Actually, because we must separate the facts from the opinion.
All right. I was talking about the opinion of a television critic who had been looking at the numbers, and it says that upon closer inspection of your track record, there are unsettling effects to local content directiveness and its schedules and audience, as well as advertisers. He says that you dissipated SABC3's revenue service. That's your track record.
No. Are those facts or opinions?
Well, it's the opinion of one seasoned writer who's been looking at this.
No. Let me explain. You see, the reason in South Africa, you go with the wind everywhere where the wind goes. Let me tell you, local content generates more revenue than your international content. When I introduce 90%, I introduce, and I'm not ashamed about that, because that is what I'm going to do as the president of this country. When I introduced 90%, it was for black people, empowering our own people. But let me tell you about
the broadcaster ended up owing local musicians some 214 million in royalties alone as a result of the 90% track record.
No. Are you talking about the facts? Can I tell you are lying?
Okay, go ahead.
No, you are lying because you are telling me about other people's opinion. What you know from your side, because you must do the facts. You must do your own research and read. Read the audit, the AG audit about the financials of the SABC when I was at the SABC. During my time, SABC financials, they were very good. You know, you can't blame someone when someone has already left the organization.
Yes, you can. Hence the track record. It's the policies that you put in place.
No. The same policy did work for SABC. Remember, let me. I like to. Let me lecture you now.
Okay.
No, I want to lecture you. When I came to the SABC in 2011, when I was acting as the COO, SABC was in a mess. I'm the one who risked SABC.
SABC is in a mess right now.
No. I'm not there. You see, it is in the mess because I'm not there. If I was there, the SABC will be a running oil machine.
Okay. Let me engage President Zungula. President Zungula, there's been a lot said about the African transformation movement, about who are some of the birthing forces, if you will, of the African transformation movement. It's been said that Masonic churches are the reason why we are here, why we have a political party or a movement called the ATM. Aren't you worried about that association, that it will keep you away from the agnostic, from those that don't necessarily believe? And among the most dangerous things that I've heard the ATM say was that you want the death penalty back, even though the Constitutional Court has already pronounced on this.
Let's start with the formation. We can't run away from the fact that the people who came with the idea of forming the political party were predominantly from the African indigenous churches. But however, they were not forming a political party for churches, they were forming a political party for South Africa. Hence, in the ATM now, we've got Rastafarians, we've got Hindus, we've got people who don't even believe there is a God. We've got so many people of this country because this ATM is about all South African citizens. Now, as Hlaudi said that on the 8th, he wants people to vote for Hlaudi. For the ATM, when people vote, they are not voting for an individual, they are voting for themselves because it is about the people of South Africa rather than any individual. Now, if we come to the issue of the capital punishment, what we're saying as the ATM is that we've normalized criminality and the murdering and slaughtering of poor people in our country.
So how would murder by the state help this situation?
It is not murder by the state. I want to clarify something. There's death. Death comes in different ways and forms, either by accident or by murder, also by punishment. Punishment by the state cannot be categorized as murder because we are punishing a person for wrongdoing. And I want to state that for capital punishment to be there, a person must have committed grave crimes for capital punishment to be considered.
Vuyolwethu, do you know what would happen if we reenacted the death penalty in this
We
country?
will not
do you know how many black men would line up the cells and would be on their way to the slaughter? Do you know how many black men?
Do you know what our issue is in the country? We focus too much on race because your statement is saying how many black men. And you're not asking a question, who are these black men killing?
Well, most of those black people are not, they're not all, they wouldn't necessarily all be worthy of that. The only difference between the person who ends up getting a bigger sentence and those that don't is really the quality of your lawyer, your representation. And black people just do not have the means to hire the best lawyers and the best advocates there are there. So the system would prejudice them, no?
That's why we are saying it is the introduction of a justice-based capital punishment system. The objective, it is to get justice. Now, what we mean and the processes that we'll have is that there will be an automatic appeal where the state will provide a counsel. Now, if a person is unhappy with the judgment, the state will provide a counsel to best represent the person. That way, it will not be a matter of one person has got the resources, another person does not have the resources to get best representation.
President Motsoeneng, among the dangerous things I've heard you say was 90% content of everything. I just want you to keep in mind here, when you say everything, you mean the minerals, the wealth, all the resources, human capital, any other resource must be 90% African first. That's a dangerous thing considering how the mining charter went, when former Minister of Mines, Msebenzi Zwane, gradually tried to pick that number up by 4 percentage points. We nearly had a slump on our hands. How would 90% not wreck the economy completely?
No, look, let me, he's my brother. And I like him.
Will you vote for him?
But let me explain. You see, he's saying, I'm saying people should vote Hlaudi. It is a fact. Hlaudi is going to deliver for the people of South Africa.
You're going to deliver something, I'm sure, but what is that thing? That's what we want to question, because this is a bigger pot than the SABC.
No. Look, I said to people of South Africa, South Africa is going to change. Within 6 months, it will be a different country. It will be happiness in South Africa.
President Cyril Ramaphosa has been trying to do that for over a year. I'm not sure the country is different.
You see, President Ramaphosa...
You said that's your competition.
No. The problem of President Ramaphosa, he has been part working with President Zuma. Now he's the man who's coming with New Dawn, when actually he's the one who messed up the country. Remember, as the deputy...
I would like us to go back here because it's not just Cyril Ramaphosa who's been working with President Zuma. You've worked with President Zuma. You have worked with President Zuma before.
I have never worked...
In fact, President Zuma cuts across both parties that are sitting here right now.
No. Let me explain. Let me explain. Just be a good listener.
Okay.
So that you can follow what I'm saying. The issue that I'm raising is President Ramaphosa, he's admitting for the past 9 years, it has been a problem for people of South Africa to get better services. But this is the man who was in charge for business as the deputy president. Let me tell you, all these SOEs that collapse, they collapse under the watch of President Ramaphosa.
And the SABC collapsed under your watch too. We can argue these for days. My question is, how would the 90% that you're speaking about as your party help this country at all?
I'm not going to leave you.
Okay.
People of South Africa are not stupid.
Okay.
People of South Africa, they know I have delivered for South Africa.
You've delivered a debt for the SABC, 246 million owed in royalties to South African artists because we played them more.
No. Let me tell you, my brother. You don't know what you are talking about.
Okay.
We put a budget together I'm the one who championed for artists to be paid. If I was at the SABC, those artists, they were going to get their money. Before I left the SABC, I have been paying royalties. When people don't pay royalties, it is not Hlaudi. All the issues that you are talking about when I was not there. And don't mislead people of South Africa.
President Zungula, let me conclude with you here. You are fresh from a by-election, and I'm sure you're enthused by the 30% support that you got. You did better than the UDM, you did better than the EFF. So this must suggest a way forward for you. What is the national target? Where are you hoping to get it? Is KZN your base?
Our base, like I said earlier on, it is all 9 provinces.
Okay.
Our target is to win the election because the support that we have...
You mean win the overall elections?
Win the elections.
Am I speaking to future president here?
Definitely.
All right.
Because we've got support, for example, there's plus minus 8 political parties that could not register to contest elections. They've approached the ATM and said, look, what you stand for, it is what we wanted to advocate for. Therefore, we're going to pull our support for you. Therefore, that is why for us, that's why I'm so relaxed, because I know that come the 9th of May, everyone will be speaking about the ATM as a people's organization that will govern the country in the interest of the people.
President Motsoeneng, I only have a minute. Right. You have been fingered in the Zondo state capture allegations. Pete Venter, former Bosasa CEO, says they paid for your legal services. My only worry is not the past about benefiting from Bosasa or whatever agreement you have. My worry is the fact that if you have relationships like Bosasa, then I'm worried about who is funding your political campaign and how beholden you will be to those forces.
No, look, man, I have explained Bosasa matter.
Explain to me.
Several times.
Okay.
They paid my legal fees.
There
is nothing wrong. Remember, people of South Africa, they love Hlaudi. Don't make any mistake.
Okay.
They love what I stand for. That's why, after the elections, people of South Africa, they are going to elect someone who is tested on, say, this delivery, who is tested on changing the lives of our own people. People are not stupid. They are not going to take all this media propaganda and other people saying Hlaudi has done this.
Back to the question, how do I trust you and who is funding you if you were willing to be funded by corrupt organizations like Bosasa?
No, man. When I was funded by Bosasa, and funding it has its own meaning. They paid my legal...
Who's funding you now?
My legal fees. I pay for my party, and other members also contribute.
That's a lot of money, 605,000?
It's a lot of money to you, not to me.
All right.
Yeah, to you it's a lot of money, not to me.
That's the truth.
You see, yeah. So, but let me close by saying, for us as South Africans, we must believe in ourselves. That 90% that you are referring to, I'm going to implement within 6 months. I'm going to make sure that I change the lives of our own people in South Africa. And the only person who is tested, the only one, Hlaudi Motsoeneng.
All right, you can't blame him for lack of confidence. That's president of the African Content Movement, Mr. Hlaudi Motsoeneng, as well as the president of the African Transformation Movement, Vuyolwethu Zungula.